welcome to the Gridiron Icon Podcast once again, where we feature outstanding iconic guests from all sorts of places. And we've got a gentleman with us this evening that comes from some places, and we're going to talk about all those places. Ladies and gentlemen, why don't we welcome in my partner in crime, and that's Mr. Stacy Bauman. How are you there, my friend, in Oregon? I
am doing amazing, and I'm excited to not be in the minority from Oregon tonight.
That is true. We're gonna share that with everybody. We're so excited. Each week we huddle with iconic guests, and you can see us on Twitter and all the different social media outlets, and especially YouTube when you want to see these wonderful faces. And this face that we have with us this evening is a good friend of mine. And, we talked golf a little bit before this. That's how we met. We're going to continue to talk some golf, but he is a great actor. He is one that knows the business well, has been in it for a very long time. You have probably seen him. If you can look at his backdrop, you can see some of the major features he's been in as an actor. Stage, so many different things we're going to learn about Bruce Locke. Ladies and gentlemen, why don't we welcome in our wonderful guest this evening, Mr. Bruce Locke.
Hey guys, Preston, Tracy, thanks for having me.
All right, hold on. We got to give you your favorite too. There you go.
Price is right. Eat your heart out.
Eat your heart out. All right. Well, let's get this thing started. Bruce, I told Stacy about it, and Stacy says, "Oh my gosh, yes, let's do it. We'd love that." We've just opened this thing up, and so I just want to let the audience know when I approached Bruce to invite him on the show. And I told him the theme name, and I told him some of the guests, and I think he'd already done his homework. You know, he's a pro at what he does. And he told me, he says, "Preston, your show is a football sports theme. I'm just an actor." I said, "Come on. We're out of the box here, baby. We may dress up one way, but we're out of the box." So anyway, you are going to be a great addition to this, and we just look forward to doing it. Let's get this thing started. So you are from Oregon. Let's back up. Tell us where you're from. And you go back. I heard you tell Stacy you go back. You guys are planning on coffee and all this stuff. Kick this thing off.
I grew up in Portland, born and raised there. I'm 5 generations. Family came over probably around 1840.
Wow.
So our whole family's been there for a very long time. Went to grade school, high school there, played tennis there, became nationally ranked, went off to play college tennis, gave pro tennis a short try, fell into acting right away. I was going to go to graduate school, and I said, I think being an actor is a lot more fun. And that's all I've ever done.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole bunch of stuff in that window that you just talked about. So we're going to back up a little bit, and we'll get to that acting part. So what were you like as a young man? What were your interests when you first got going and feeling your oats and saying, I got to carve my own roots? What were you like as a young man? Sports was involved, maybe?
Sports, definitely sports. I think to survive in tennis, I had to become pretty thick-skinned. It was a pretty white sport at the time. Yeah. And I kind of grew up during that last bastion of racism in that kind of milieu. So I had a pretty big chip on my shoulder. And that kind of made me succeed in tennis. And when I decided to become an actor, it translated into that thick skin. So that's sort of what served me. And then my brother told me, though, when I was 18, he said, "Hey, you better become a nicer person. You're not going to live to 21." Wow. So I had this long talk with him about, the difference between being tough and being nice. And he straightened me out.
That's amazing. Now, I have to ask you, I got to know when you graduated so I can gauge our ages, but you were Cleveland High School, right?
Yeah.
Cleveland.
I graduated in.
We didn't catch that, Bruce. Bruce, we didn't catch that.
Didn't I? Sorry, I meant to cut out there. I'll tell you afterwards.
I'm a class of 85 guy, so I'll throw that out there.
I'm a little older than you.
No, you're not. Are you really? Okay.
I'm a lot older than both of you.
Didn't think so. I didn't think so, but I'm guessing we're from the same generation, so the 80s and, that kind of whole world.
I'm a little older than you, Stacy.
No. Okay. I'm putting him on the spot. Let's move along. Okay.
I'm closer to Preston.
Oh, no way.
But I have him
goodness.
beat still.
You know what's sad about this for our YouTube watchers? Anybody watching the three of us right now is not going to come to the conclusion that I'm the youngest. And I'm mad about that. Let's go. Okay.
Stacy, you and I still have our hair. When I knew
a blessing.
Preston, he was this dapper young man with this jet black hair and this sport jacket and loafers on. And he walked into the celebrity room, and I said, "Who's that good-looking guy, man?"
Yeah.
Everybody else, we look like schlubs just getting off the plane, and here comes this guy dressed to the nines. That's Preston Denard.
Listen, true story. Last night, won't go into too much detail, but I was showing my wife. Preston doesn't know this is coming. I was showing my wife a picture of Preston when I seriously idolized my partner and had a picture of him on my wall, and I showed her the picture, and she was like, "Oh, he's a nice looking guy."
Hey?
I was like, "Hey, wait a minute here. What's going on?" I feel you, Bruce.
Yeah.
No way in the world. Well,
A lot of charisma, Preston. A lot of charisma.
Yep.
Beyond your football skills.
You know what? I tried acting. It didn't work. So the charisma.
I've talked to a lot of football players that wanted to be actors. And I said, man, get into acting class and see if
most of them are actors anyway. Until they get there. We won't go there. I'm very curious in understanding that love of tennis. How did you get started? Did someone place that in your hand?
I was a golfer. We lived across the street from Eastmoreland Golf Course. Mm-hmm. And my mom dropped us off at Benson High School, the tennis course, to take tennis lessons just to get rid of us for a couple hours. So it was more like, let's get rid of the three kids and I'll have a couple hours to myself. Mm-hmm. And when you know it, I could hang with the big kids. And pretty soon we would start playing, and I was starting to beat kids that were older than me. Mm-hmm. And the tennis teacher came up to my mother one day after class, and she said, "Hey, your kid might want to consider taking this more seriously." And she goes, "Why?" She goes, "Well, he's beating all the older kids." So the lady that was teaching us gave me some private lessons and put me in a tournament, and I did really well. And that was sort of the beginning of it. I didn't even know, I didn't know what I was getting into. But then I got to be about 12 or 13, and I discovered girls. And that was when they wore skirts and they had the frilly, stuff. And I said, "Hey, tennis is the place to be." So that was the beginning of everything.
Oh my God. And so was it an instant love, or did you grow into it?
I grew into it.
Okay.
It became a job right away. I was late in the game getting started, so it became a job. I was up at 5:30 to practice before school. After school, I'd practice again. And I just kept winning. And I realized it was a job. I didn't love it. I just knew I was good at it. Wow. I didn't love it till after I stopped playing. And that's kind of sad. Huh. But I love it now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Wow.
That's fascinating.
What about you, Preston? Did you always love football?
I think I did, except for my first year playing it in the 8th grade. I told Stacy how I got there, and it was a safe haven. So I always loved sports because, Bruce, what you probably don't know is my scenario and why sports made a difference in my life. And I had a speech impediment, and athletics just calmed me. So I grew into loving it, wanting it. I never thought it was work. Everything I put my hands on, I was good at. And it just happened to end up being 2 or 3 sports that I love best. And baseball was number one in my life. But I love tennis. All my boys I've thrown a racket in their hands and a golf club. Stacy and I interviewed my oldest boy and told a story about the 7-iron I gave him at a driving range. He hits it 225 yards. I look at him. He looks at me. He says, and he's 6'4.5". He says, "What?" I said, "Dude, do that again." And he does it again. It's about 200 yards. I said, "You don't know what you are doing." But he doesn't play golf today. Go figure.
Go figure.
Yeah. So you're in high school. You're playing. You're winning. Tell us about some of the accolades that tennis brought you.
You know, my freshman year, I made the varsity team, and our number one player at Cleveland was the state champion. So there's no way I'm going to knock him out of the spot.
Wow.
But I was the only freshman on the team. We're city champions. And he left. He went on to the Naval Academy, and I became the number one player, and I became ranked in the Northwest. And I mean, there were a lot of us that were ranked, and they all went on to, you know, Division I schools, and some turned pro, you know, played Wimbledon and all that. I didn't. I went to Division III, which is one of the smaller college systems. So I wasn't that good, but I kept getting better, and became nationally ranked in college. And like I said, I gave it a short stint after college before I fell into acting.
What college was that?
I went to Pitzer College, one of the Claremont Colleges.
Okay.
But one of the reasons why it was so difficult was I had a serve and volley game, and it was just hit the crap out of it, come into the net. and I played guys at a very high level. I played guys that were on the Davis Cup team from Canada, Australia, Hong Kong. And I pushed them. But for my kind of game, it was so tough mentally to win or get through one match. If I had a good match in a big tournament, I was spent mentally. So it was hard for me to go deep into a tournament because I didn't have the type of all court game where I could just hit any shot. I had to come in and it was do or die 100%.
Wow.
To win a point. And it made me mentally very tired week after week.
But it also made you a tough competitor where when you chose to pursue acting, and we're going to get into that, it just made you a better. And I think that's what a lot of these experiences that we all go through kind of encourages us to.
You're right. It's focus.
Do better.
I learned more about focus. I was just in a situation this Christmas where they asked me if I would host a beauty pageant. And it was kind of an S show. It was everybody was sick. There was no rehearsal. The script was a mess.
Wow.
And it was just coming down the wire. And I said, you know what? Let's just do it. And everyone was panicking. We had technical problems. The girls weren't ready for this or that. And I just huddled, and I told the girls before we went on, I said, look, young ladies, this is not what you do for a living. You will never do this again in your life. Have fun. Enjoy it. Focus on this moment of being in the spotlight. If anything goes wrong, I'm going to be right there, and I will figure it out for you. Even if you start your performance and you screw up, which inevitably all this that I called happened, and it was on me to, you know, fix things. And it came down to, look, man, you've been in front of people, just focus. And you get that from sports where something goes wrong and you just figure it out.
I feel like that takes a special person. I watch these hosts, and of course, I don't want to get into what Chris Rock just went through a year ago. But it still takes a wild personality to think on your toes in front of a zillion people watching on.
Well, Stacy, let me tell you something interesting is that when I first got some kind of notoriety as an actor, then I started to get asked to speak publicly and host things. And what people don't realize is those are two very different skill sets. Being an actor is you can be inside yourself and be focused. That's not how it works when you're on stage. So, but the secret that I found out is that don't edit. Whatever comes to your mind, even if you screw up, and I screw up a lot, and I think people find it entertaining that I'll totally commit and screw up, and I'll own it. So I won't edit. The only thing I'll edit is before whatever show we're doing on stage, I'll say, how blue can I work? Now, for you younger people, blue means how dirty. So, you know, guys are guys, and my mind goes everywhere, and you just have to know how blue you can work. So, you know, I'm doing a beauty pageant, so I know, look, you got to be respectful. That's the only thing edit that I had, and it worked.
Because you're dealing with women and just the sense.
And the community. It's a community event. and they asked me to speak about the community and the history of it. And so, you know, you got to be respectful, but within that respect comes my point of view, which is a little different than people who do normal things.
Now you went over briefly, real briefly, about where you went to college, but people don't understand the Claremont Colleges. Explain a little bit about that dynamic. So you're about to separate yourself from everybody else who's average.
No. The Claremont. First of all, the Claremont Colleges are a group of 5 colleges in Southern California outside of LA.
Yep.
And Pomona probably is the flagship college, is kind of like the Harvard of the West.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
And then there's Harvey Mudd, which is compared to MIT. It's an engineering school. Pitzer College, where I went, was one of the top social science schools in the country. And there's Claremont McKenna, which is a huge business school. A lot of captains of industry go there. And there's Scripps College, which is one of the top women's colleges in the world. We all are contiguous to each other. You can take classes at any one of the 5 colleges, and they are all top notch. Our acceptance rate for Pitzer College is 12 out of 100 get in. But that's now. So I gave a keynote address for the graduating class not too long ago, and I said, I'm so proud to have graduated from this college, which I would have never gotten into if I applied today.
Wow.
Because it was a little easier when I was there.
Wow.
But hey, the kids today, I was talking with the seniors about what's your plans? What are you going to do with your life? These kids were getting their PhDs, going to medical school. There's no gap here. I was like, I'm going to medical school. I was like, really? And what about you? I'm getting my MBA. You know, I'm doing a Fulbright scholarship, blah, blah, blah. It's like, holy moly. These kids are on their way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the Claremont Colleges.
Yes, it is. It is top notch. I've seen that particular campus, and it's just beautiful.
It was beautiful. I'm really thankful that I had that experience.
Okay, so we get off to college. At some point, martial arts as well as acting.
No.
How does all that?
I was never, Preston. I was never a martial artist. Now, if you look at
all the stuff you play, I'm looking at the
two of these
backdrop.
3 shows that are behind me. Mortal Kombat. I played Shang Tsung the Sorcerer, and RoboCop 3. I was Ultimo the ninja assassin. I'm not a martial artist. I was taught.
You would never know that watching the shows.
What happened was when I got RoboCop 3, they hired a pretty acclaimed martial artist to train me, and we worked 3.5 months before we even started shooting. So I was working 5 days a week with him, and he taught me how to fight on screen. And that carried me for my whole career. And I've become friends with a lot of the stuntmen and martial artists in the industry. And they basically walk me through a fight. Wow. And I know enough about sports to stay in shape and stretch. And I know a few of the basics. And I know a lot about acting. So I can construct a fight like I would a scene. Wow. And that's where these things came from. And real interestingly, the guy that taught me for RoboCop 3, he said, hey, Bruce, this is after 6 months. He goes, you're pretty damn good. I had you do some demonstrations with, 4 of my black belts, and I threw a sword at you, and you did that. He goes, but if you ever get in a real fight, if you can't run, you hit him, then run. Goes, don't do any of this stuff I taught you.
Somewhere is some young kid who grew up loving you, and they're crying right now. Wait a minute,
No, Stacey, I'm real open about the level of my martial arts skill. It's all for entertainment.
Yeah, but it's all for the acting. It's all for developing you as a character and all the different shows. So take us on that journey. I know Stacey's got a couple of questions he wants to ask you, but take us on how you got into acting, what got you going through it in the very beginning, and where you are today.
Oh my gosh, it was through sports, through tennis.
Okay.
I had decided to turn professional. I started taking money in tournaments, came down through California, and I lost in the first round of a tournament. And I'm pissed off. So I'm throwing stuff in my bag. I'm getting ready to walk off the court. This little Vietnamese girl comes up, starts taking my picture. And I kind of flared at her, and I said, hey, get away from me.
Ooh.
She looks at me and she goes, I'm going to put you in a magazine. I said, that's the guy that won. Go take his picture. Because I've never seen a 6'2" Asian guy who's athletic. I'm going to put you in a magazine.
Yeah, he's tall.
Get away from me.
Oh.
And she said, listen, you're out of this tournament. You've got nothing to do. Let me take you to lunch. She goes, I'm biased. I said, you got it. So we went to lunch. I cooled off. And she said, I really am a fashion photographer, and I want to introduce you to an agent. I said,
That's how it starts.
Let's go.
Wow.
For real?
So I'm all sweaty. We go in. I meet this agent, and I'm sitting in his office, and he says, it's a modeling agent, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, you think this is a scam? I go, cross my mind. Yeah. He goes, don't you think somebody has to represent these people that are on magazine covers? And there's all these big posters of Elle and Cosmopolitan and GQ on the walls. I go, yeah, it crossed my mind. He goes, somebody has to represent these people, Bruce. This beautiful girl walks by, and he calls her in. I don't know, Sarah, whatever. Sarah, come in here. So she comes and goes, yeah, what's up? He goes, let me see your book. She goes, okay. Book is her portfolio or modeling portfolio. So he opens it up. He opens it up to the page of the cover of a magazine that was on the wall behind me. And he goes, do you see this girl, this cover, and that poster behind me? And that's the girl. I handle her. Right? And she goes, yeah, you do. So he closes the book, hands it back to her. He said, I'm for real. I said, son of a bitch. It's for real.
This is crazy.
So he said, let me handle you. And so I said, what does that mean? He said, it won't cost you a dime. And it didn't. And I started working. I did a department store catalog literally within a week. Had no idea what I was doing. I was scared to death.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 weeks later, he calls me and he says, hey, there's an Asian magazine that wants to do an article on Asian American models.
Wow.
And there aren't very many. So you're going to go do this article. I said, hey, man, I've done like 2 jobs. What the hell do I know about modeling? He said, just go. So I go do this interview, and there are all these beautiful Asian girls. And I went, wow, this is great. So they get done doing this photo shoot, and I'm watching these girls, and this guy goes, hey, you want to stay? And I went, yeah. He goes, well, make yourself useful. Hold this light board. So I'm standing there holding this light board with this old guy. And he goes, so you're a model, huh? I go, yeah. I go, what do you do? He goes, I own the magazine. I go, oh, that's great. Thanks for this. He goes, so obviously you're an actor too, because all models are actors. Me thinking on my feet, I'm like, oh, yes, I am. He goes, who's your agent? And I said, well, I'm working on it. And he goes, I'll tell you what, I'm going to set you up with an agent, a meeting next week. That led to my first agent. And that's how it all got started.
You know, it doesn't happen like that always.
Well, it wasn't always smooth sailing. I mean, even getting him to sign me was not easy. He asked me to do a monologue, come back when I was ready. And I went out, left his office, got on a phone, called my best friend. I said, hey, man, I met this Hollywood agent. He goes, you got to be kidding me. I said, yeah, he wants me to do a monologue. Wow. What's a monologue? My friend starts laughing. He goes, you got to be kidding me. So he goes, come over. He had 3 plays in his library, and none of them were right for me. So I did the closing argument from the mutiny on the Bounty. No, the Cane Mutiny of one of the prosecuting attorneys. Mm-hmm. Completely inappropriate for a 23-year-old skinny Chinese kid to do a Navy World War II port scene. So I did it, and the agent said, wow, you're pretty green. He goes, but you got moxie. If you promise me you'll study, I'll handle you. And that was the beginning of it.
Wow.
This is incredible.
Explain to our listeners and us that don't really know the business well, what is that like? It's not like X's and O's running 63X corner or a basketball swing play or baseball steal sign.
Okay, that's how I approached it, though.
That's how you approach. Well, that's good to know.
Because I'm a tennis player and I've been coached a lot.
There you go. There you go.
You know, I figured, you be bold, do what everybody else is doing, follow instructions. It's pretty far from that. Okay, so shortly after that, the agent sends me out on an audition for General Hospital for like a 3-year 3-year contract, and I'm completely not ready for this. I have no experience. So I keep reading and they keep calling me back. And the casting director says, you don't know what the hell you're doing, but I believe in you. So I get to the final round. It's between me and another guy. And the executive producer says, this kid's not ready. And the casting director says, he'll be ready within 3 weeks of him being on camera. And she said, no. So I didn't get it. So I went home and I wasn't dejected because I knew I wasn't ready. I knew I didn't know what I was doing. And he calls me and he said, hey, you almost got it. But listen, I'm going to give you a recurring, very small role. You're going to come in 3 times a week and do nothing like be an extra or deliver 1 or 2 lines. And you're going to see what it's like. And the rest of the time, I want you here on the set. So you're going to be here 5 days a week. And you're going to watch these guys and see what they do. Okay. So I went and I watched, and some of it I said, yeah, I can do that. You memorize it, you go stand on the X and you say your line. You know, you scream when you're mad, and you know. Then I saw this really studly, good-looking guy break down in tears when somebody died, and that shook me. I was like, holy crap! I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah, I want to know how to do that.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. That was a little too real for me. Everything else, I could see the acting. This guy was good. So then I thought, okay, I need to study and take it really seriously. And that's when it hit home to me that this is an art, it's a craft, and it's about, that's where the nexus between sports and acting stops. It's an art form, and it comes from your heart. It's painting a picture. It's singing a song, you know, it's composing lyrics. And, when I started to tap into that, I realized, oh crap, I got bit by the acting bug. And that's when it really started. And I said, I'm going to take this seriously because I would like to do some great stuff.
Wow. That's amazing. How old? You're 23 years old when this is happening to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Incredible, man. There's something dynamic happening here though, because so many people saw something in you that they believe. But
Stacy, you got to remember that as many people that said, I think you can, there were 10 times that said, you have no shot. No shot at all. And when I came up, there was no Crazy Rich Asians. Bruce Lee was the only guy.
Yeah.
So it was tough going.
Yeah, this is like prior to Jackie Chan kind of hitting it
big.
Well,
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bruce Lee was, oh God, we all idolized him though in the late 70s, early 80s. I mean, yeah. We all had his poster. Yeah. Incredible. So interesting. So did you, from that point in your career, you're getting by on sheer guts and some raw talent. Did you then start taking acting classes? And okay.
All of that.
Studied like crazy. And I came up with a lot of people that did really, really friggin' well, that are household names today. And we're all sitting there in the little black box theater, pounding it out, figuring out how to deliver a line. How do you be mean? You know, our acting teacher, Sal Dano, came from New York, Broadway, tough Italian guy. He said, hey, every one of you guys is a product. You're a car. What kind of car are you? Now, I want you to learn how to do everything. But if you're a Ferrari and you're a truck, you got to know that walking in. And he said, and I don't teach extras and bit actors. So if all you want to do is be on the set, get out of here. I want people that bring something.
Wow.
So what kind of car were you?
Don't
be shy. Don't be shy.
Hey, I play bad people, man.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, you do.
I'm thinking like a black Porsche 911, like something that's kind of sinister but racy.
Goes through red lights.
That goes through red lights.
But you know, Stacy, to be honest though, awesome. You know, I was a pretty skinny Asian kid that looked really preppy, and there wasn't any work. The work was Are you the lab tech? Are you the grocery store owner that gets robbed? There's nothing, but they were bad guys. So I had to learn how to be a bad guy to get work. And then that sort of became the mainstay of what I do. So, you know, I walk into a room, I don't look like a bad guy. I look like I'm the Asian version of Preston. You know, I walk in and I'm wearing khakis and penny loafers and a button-down polo shirt, and they're like, "Are you somebody's agent? Who do you represent?" I said, "No, man. That's what happened to me on Mortal Kombat. I walked in to the set, and they thought I was Bruce Locke's manager. I said, "No, I'm Shang Tsung."
Oh, Bruce.
He said, "You're Shang Tsung." And Shang Tsung, for those of you that don't know, he's a very evil sorcerer that wants to take over the world. He has a goatee, long flowing hair, and he's ripped. Now, when I showed up, I was wearing khaki shorts and a tennis shirt and tennis shoes. And he said, "Have a seat, and we'll be right with you."
I love it.
That is so. You look. We got photographs that are going to mysteriously pop up when this show debuts. You look like a bad man, and also in the RoboCop version where you're doing the whole prosthetic face. Like you're a bad, nasty guy in those movies.
Yeah, but all that came from acting class.
How do you tap into that as a man, just as a breathing soul?
Tapping into that badass anger is a lot easier than tapping into the your dog died, you know, or you know, that kind of stuff. So that kind of macho stuff is pretty easy, especially if you've played sports, because there's a moment on the gridiron, I'm sure, where it ain't about X's and O's. It's about looking in that guy's eye and saying, "I'm going to dominate you."
There you go.
No matter what. It's fourth quarter. It's freaking 100 degrees out. We've been out here the whole time. There ain't no subs for me, and there ain't no subs for you, and I'm going to beat you.
That's boy.
That's what you bring to acting sometimes. Because if you think about it, I play the bad guy, and there's a lot of Asian guys that look a lot meaner with a lot bigger muscles. And I know they're sitting on the set with me, and they're my henchmen, and they're wondering why is Bruce the guy? Until they say action. So when I deliver the line, "I'm going to kill you," it's pretty damn real.
Look, seconds ago when you just got intense about talking about there's no subs, your eyes changed. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I believe him.
Yeah.
Very
so that
interesting.
type of realism, when you're doing, when you're on film and that camera is right in front of your face, that is the truth. And so you see a lot of these actors, and they play very imposing people. They actually have that inside their personality. You don't want to push some of these people.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, there's some of them that are fake
that,
you know, you can swat away pretty easily, but a lot of them, I wouldn't mess with a lot of these guys.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned at the outset of this little visit that your brother, when you were younger and you were taking on tennis, you're like, yeah, you're going to have to be a nicer guy at some point. But I'm guessing you tapped into the younger version of yourself more than once.
Yeah. I mean, you have to hang on to certain things. You just have to be mature and know where they belong.
How commonplace is it in that industry where you find out what you were cast for was really not the right opportunity or the right character for you? Has that ever happened? Maybe early on, but I'm not so sure. Does that happen a lot, or?
No, what's interesting is that Hollywood is very rigid. I wish I had more opportunities to play things that people don't see me as. I think when I do extemporaneous speaking, there's a lot of humor. And I'm talking about like hosting and things like that. There's a lot of humor, and I'm very silly. I never do comedies. I think I've done 3 comedies in my career. So as far as early on, I did some romantic roles. A casting director, even though they're supposed to have open eyes, if they don't know me, they don't see me as the bad guy. If they've cast me as the bad guy, that's all they see me as. So it's really tough. If you do one thing that you've been good at, they will see you as that.
Yeah.
But I'm the kind of guy that I'll walk into a room where they don't recognize me as the bad guy that played that role. I am never recognized for the man in the high castle, and I was on season 4 as the general who was in charge of the occupation of half the United States. And people never recognize me until we start talking. And then it hits them that I'm this very mean person.
Yeah, that's a fascinating take on human nature, even for an actor. Like we meet somebody and we put them somewhere in our head, and it's hard to get them out of that spot.
Yeah, that's why you got to really be present when you meet someone to see who are they really.
Yeah.
And that's what most people don't do. But I'm all right with that. I mean, I work.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I'm eating.
Yeah.
I got to ask you in that world. I mean, there's so many things. You're such a unique guest for us that I got a million questions. But Hollywood, for the most part, it can have a rough reputation, at least recently. What are some things that you absolutely love about that? And what are some things that you could really do without?
Wow, good question. Because I got started in Hollywood at such a young age, I did have a good time.
Cool.
Everything you could ever imagine. Yeah, it was great.
He's being very politically correct here.
I went to parties in Hollywood and the host would say, "Hey, Mary Wilson is going to sing a song for us."
Okay.
She comes down the stairs and sing a song. You're at another party and Prince gets on stage and says, "Hey, I want to try out a new song." Great, great stuff.
Unbelievable.
But as far as the meanness, it's all true. Racism, stereotypes, backstabbing, cheating, studios trying to cheat you. It's all true. So what you got to do to survive is you've got to have your core group of people that you trust and you hang out with. And the other stuff is just noise. I imagine the same thing in sports. You've got your detractors. You got coaches that I would have never drafted that guy. I don't believe in him. I'm not going to give him time. Hey, man, you just got to do your job and prove them wrong. Even on the set. I was doing NCIS with Mark Harmon. And usually what happens before you do a show is you'll do a table read of the script. And I'm playing the bad guy. And so I'm sitting there looking at everybody around the room going, oh, golly, I know all these people. And we're reading the script. And to me, a script reading, it's not a full performance. And for me to do what I do, I'm not going to give you 100% if we're just doing a table reading. So the director comes up to me afterwards and he starts giving me notes. And he's worried. He's concerned. We're going to start filming in 3 days. And this guy seems a little marshmallow, And I looked at him and the other guy came out. And I won't tell you what I said, but I put my hand on his shoulder. I said, "Don't worry, brother. We'll work it out on the day." So when we got to the set, the very first take, I did something Mark didn't expect, and it sort of shook him. And the director came up to me and he says, "I see exactly what you do. My apologies." And I said, "Yeah, I'm not going to do that in a reading." And he said, "I don't know if you guys know who Henry Silva was. He was an Italian guy that played a lot of heavies in the 60s. And he goes, you work like Henry." I go, "Yeah." I'm not a screamer. I don't need to scream. But you can know where I'm coming from. He goes, I completely understand. And my apologies. So, you got to know how to navigate. That's my point. And I'm not going to get involved in political discussions, or if somebody comes at me, I'm old enough now, I'm not going to go back at them. I'm just going to do my job. So, Hollywood is tough.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I got a million questions in that regard, and I can't imagine you don't have an incredible library of experiences and scars that you can and can't share. But
Stacey, when we have coffee in Portland, I'll
done.
Yeah.
off the record, done.
Yeah.
I'll bring the coffee. 100%.
You'll bring the coffee.
Yeah, I'm so fascinated by what drives people and what motivates them more than the finished product. So I can't imagine.
I mean, we have a commonality. I mean, did you grow up in Portland too?
I did. I'm from the Bay Area originally in Marin County, but I've been up here forever. I was in the 80s, went to high school.
You can imagine, okay.
Yeah.
You know, where'd you go to high school?
Tigard High School, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
Okay. Wait. What year did you graduate in? 84?
1985. 85. For you youngsters out there. I had a Preston Dennard poster on my wall. And
did you know Joe Kim? He went to your high school.
Say that again.
He was a senior when you were a freshman. Joe Kim. He played football.
I sure do.
No way.
I know that name, and my brain is working through
big
the face.
Korean guy. Big gregarious Korean guy. Yeah.
And he was, well, again, you're a kid, but I remember he was thick.
Yeah.
Like
he's younger than me, but we played golf on. He lives in New York now, but he played golf with me at Pumpkin Ridge on Sunday.
Oh my God! Small world.
I'm going to call him as soon as we get off of this.
Oh, he'll probably never remember me. I was a punk underclassman, but I remember him.
Where I was going with this was, okay, Stacy, we have a commonality of growing up Portland, Beaverton, the Northwest.
Yeah.
Can you imagine your life as a young man getting thrown into Hollywood?
Oh,
everything coming your way, whether it's you're not going to work, you're not going to pay your rent, to now we're going to pay you gobs of money, and you're hanging out with beautiful women, and everybody's telling you you're great, and then the very next moment you still have that money in the bank, but you have no job. And all of Hollywood going on the back lots of Universal, and you see stars and you're talking to them and they're talking to you like you're one of them. And you're like, man, I'm just this kid from Portland.
I can't imagine it. And to be honest with you, I could spend hours exploring that. Like, how does a young 23-year-old guy or a young guy from Portland, east side of the river, grow into this? And I think that journey is so worth unpacking. Even as we get older, we try to unpack it and understand it. But Bruce,
yeah, it's really surrealistic. And it is. I sent Preston a copy of this book. I hope he forwarded it to you.
He doesn't have it yet.
Okay.
I love it.
So because I'm a golfer, I got involved with the celebrity golf circuit, as Preston did. And I ended up writing a book in 2011 called Who the Hell Are You? A minor celebrity on the celebrity golf circuit and the shenanigans that go on. The first chapter is devoted to Portland trailblazer Maurice Lucas.
Lucas, yeah.
Who became a great friend of mine, and he got me involved in my first celebrity golf tournament. And that chapter talks about having one foot in the Portland, side of being a civilian and being a celebrity. Read that chapter.
I'm on it,
Stacy.
Committed, and we're going to talk about it over coffee. Thank you. I did know about the book. I didn't know if we'd have time to chat about it, but Maurice Lucas is a legend here. I only recognize him as a Laker because I was a Laker fanatic, but I lived in Blazer country when they won the championship, and I mean, we got a lot of ties up here, Bruce.
Yeah, and when he played for the Lakers, he would get me tickets to the game, and we would go to the Forum. And they had a private club called the Forum Club. I would always meet him there after the game, and we'd have drinks, and I'd always talk to the ladies, and and see the stars and Jerry Buss, and the Lakers would come in and out, and I mean, it was a great time. One time, I'm talking to this very beautiful lady, and then this big hand. I feel on my shoulder, and Maurice goes, "Hey, that's Byron Scott's woman."
About that.
All about that.
I can only imagine. You got to write more books, Bruce.
Bruce treated me very well. He was a special guy.
Yeah, rest in peace. He was an animal.
Yeah, he was. But you know what? My only connection with Portland area, the Northwest, is I did play in Maurice's tournament one year. It was a gorgeous tournament. Charles Barkley, and what's the young lady from maybe England? She was a hip hop music MC, commentator.
Downtown
MTV.
Julie Brown.
Who was that?
Was it Downtown Julie Brown?
Yeah, Downtown Julie Brown.
Yeah.
She was there. I won't even go where I want to go with this, but just let me tell you, a lot of what Bruce is saying, I've experienced too and see.
I'm telling you, Bart
Club. Oh my God!
You asked about when I first started playing in these celebrity golf tournaments back in the '90s, it was the Wild West of fun. This is before any economic collapse, and they're throwing swag at us. They're flying and whining and dining you. We're going to concerts, hanging out with the Temptations, and they're giving you like $1,500 from gambling money, and it's crazy stuff.
Oh yeah,
that is
incredible. I'm thinking, I'm just this kid from Portland hanging out with all these guys with championship rings, and I remember one time I was with Dr. J.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "Who the hell are you?" I go, I'm just some kid that was in a movie.
I can't breathe. Julia Serving, who are you? Are you bringing my car around? Who are you?
We're at Stedman Graham's event, Athletes Against Drugs in Chicago. Mm-hmm. We're in the VIP area where we're going to sign autographs for the people that paid a lot of money. And Mortal Kombat had just come out.
Oh.
And I'm signing. I've got a huge line. And Yao Ming had just been drafted, right? So some of these people are thinking, well, this guy's 6'2". Are you Yao Ming? I said, no, I'm not Yao Ming. I'm Shang Tsung. So I got this line and I'm signing. Julia is to my back and he's got a line. He's signing. He looks at me and he goes, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm the guy with the line longer than you, Dr. J."
Oh, I love it.
He just turned away. And you know what? He's never said much to me other than, "Who are you?" And I met him like 6 or 7 times.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Okay, Preston, I got to get that book. I actually was going to ask about the book, so I'm on that before we
got it in our file. So you
got the number 4 on Amazon's bestseller list for sports humor.
Oh,
so
my God.
Basically, you're a sports guy. You're going to recognize everybody in there, from Aaron Rodgers to, to Pierre LaRouche.
Oh, wow. God, what a great and interesting. You're a Renaissance man. This is amazing. So interesting. Well, I have about 6 million more questions, but as is always the case, we run out of time on this show. But Bruce, we're going to definitely connect. I'd love for the 3 of us to connect and have coffee in Portland. That would be the funnest day ever.
You got to come to Portland, Preston.
Yeah,
I will. You know what? You guys got to let me know. I will book it and be there, but give me at least 3 weeks.
Oh yeah, we can give you some lead time.
Okay, and a plane ticket. I'm good. $1,500 spending cash, whatever you want.
I don't do that anymore, man.
I cannot get downtown Julie Brown to come back. Okay,
the
ship has sailed. I'm open.
Let me just say, she was a peculiar, interesting young lady.
Look, as an 80s guy, we'll leave it at that.
We are going to leave it at that. Okay, the hour is growing on us. We have reached the point of what we call our 2-minute drill. Not necessarily significant in your case, but that's what it is. My partner is going to lead that 2-minute drill as he so desires to do so. So what we do is rapid fire, your best, fastest, quickest answer to the heart. It's either or, and Stacy, take it away.
Okay, it's my shot with Bruce Locke. Please do not beat me up or samurai sword me to death. Or, I was very nervous about that. But 2 minutes with the great Bruce Locke. Okay, this one's going to be tough. And I mess these names up. I'm just not good. But from both movies, Otomo or Shang Tsung?
Oh man, both were really
making him choose. I'm making him choose his character.
Otomo, because I was young and it was the first time I had ever had a great role. And the guy that taught me martial arts, he could make friends with the wall. We were in Atlanta for 6 months shooting. He got us invited to Madonna's opening at a nightclub. We were drank with ZZ Top. We went into a bar and he told the owner I was the Prince of Thailand. It was an amazing time in Atlanta.
Oh,
Somebody put this guy in bubble wrap. This is hilarious. This is awesome. Okay. All right. He made, for all you movie fans, he made a choice there. We forced it on him. Okay. The Portland-centric question, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Oh, my guy. Although I think you do too.
I teach some acting once in a while, and they say, "What's the secret of acting?" I say, "It's coffee."
Coffee.
It's a good cup of coffee.
So much to talk about.
Your lines are going to come to you if you drink a cup of coffee.
It's magic, folks. It's magic. Okay. This is it. I didn't get to talk to you about your theater acting, but you were in Snow Falls on Cedars, which is incidentally one of my favorite movies. I know it was Ethan Hawke and all that, but I love that whole story. Love it.
Yeah, Portland Center Stage.
Yeah, that was in Portland, right? At the
it was a great time. I never worked in Portland, and I did a Snow Falling on Cedars in Portland Center Stage. It was one of the highlights of my career.
Wow. One of my favorite stories. Cried on an airplane on a business trip watching that. I'm not even going to lie about it. The ending was like, I'm dying here. I got something in my eye. Yeah, so incredible movie. The movies or television?
It used to be movies, because movies you'd shoot a page and a half a day, and it's meticulous and you can experiment. And television you'd shoot 8 pages a day, so it's like a donut factory. But the two are becoming so close now. Hey man, work is work, and you're blessed if you're working.
Yeah, I love that. They're very interesting. Okay, your personal Bruce Locke's favorite movie?
RoboCop 3. It's got me started. First time I had my name on a chair,
You're a bad butt in that, so there's going to be some pictures surfacing surrounding this episode. You're like a badass in that. You look great, dude. I don't know. Were you working at well? Again, we have 600 questions.
It was 165 when I got the job, and I put on 15 pounds of muscle. Ooh. And I was so strong. When I was in Atlanta, they hired a world champion kickboxer to train me. And he said, "I'm not going to train with you. I train people." And I said, "If you can do what I do, you don't have to train with me." And he trained with me for 6 months. Wow. And I said, "Well, I'm not getting bigger. What's the deal?" He said, "Let's go to Lee Haney's gym." Lee Haney was a world champion bodybuilder. We went to his gym, and all these guys were ripped, and they're all African American. And we go in there, and the first thing he does is, "You called me an N-word?"
No.
And everybody stopped and looked at me. And he starts laughing. He goes, "I'm just messing with you, brother." He goes, "Everybody, this is Bruce Locke. I'm training him for RoboCop." And I'm like, I'm sweating bullets. I'm sweating bullets because he's black. So this big guy came up and he goes, "Okay, what's your problem, little brother?" And my trainer says, his name's Jeff Gripper, by the way, world champion kickboxer. He goes, "Bruce is really strong, but can't put on weight." He goes, "You got to lift heavier."
Yeah.
So I said, put on some plates. 315 pounds. Wham! Bench press. I go, "Let me see you do that."
What?
And he goes, "I can't do that." Yeah. And I go, "You outweigh me by a lot. And you're a lot bigger than me." He goes, "Wow, you're pretty freaking strong." He goes, "Well, it's a really simple answer. You got to do steroids." And he walks away. I said, "I'm not doing steroids."
Wow.
Good grief, dude. 315 on the bench press? Come on.
Yeah,
I don't think I was squatting that.
And then another guy came up and said, "Hey, our state record for your weight 180 is, I think it was 365 or something like that." He goes, "I can get you there if you want the state record." I'm like, "No, man. I just want to do the movie."
Yeah, I just want to do it.
That is incredible, Bruce. Okay, final question.
Yes, sir.
Who plays Bruce Locke in a movie of your life?
Oh, man. Nobody, because it's not that interesting. Really?
Okay,
really.
I'm playing it.
Yeah.
Nobody. Nobody's making a life story of Bruce Locke.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Hey, the favorite scene in a movie playing Bruce Locke would be walking into an all-black strength training room, and he turns and says, "You called me the N-word?" What?
Yeah.
Oh,
that'd be the highlight.
I got to tell you though, this gym, Lee Haney's gym, was right out of Rocky. It had the leaky pipes, and all the guys were just ripped, and everyone was African American, and they were like serious, and And my trainer, we had become good friends by then. I swear I was gonna take him out right there. I was like, you, and he just grabbed me, goes, I got you, didn't I?
Oh man. Cool. But the hindsight is, I'll bet they had respect when you were pumping 315.
Yeah.
Like they went, oh, look at this guy.
I actually had to do it. I actually had to do it again because they called the whole gym over.
Wow. I believe it, man. I'd be okay.
315.
Yeah. So wait, okay, real quickly. I know we're almost done. What could you do when you were at your peak playing for the Rams?
As far as weight?
Yeah.
Lifting weights? Oh, my brother, I got a wonderful story for you, and it's short-lived.
Oh, a Preston. Okay.
I never lifted a weight in high school. I never lifted a weight in college. I never lifted a weight in the pros until my last year in the league when Forrest Gregg at Green Bay said, okay, anybody that misses a workout training, $500. I started lifting and I realized, damn, I could probably play 5 more years if I'd have started lifting.
Oh my!
That was my last year in the league. So there's your story.
Wow.
What a tidbit, man. Unbelievable. And
I'm
as for
now.
And as for mine, Bruce, I'm not going to share that. Let's move along. So, okay.
My friend.
All right. So, folks, what a absolute kick in the pants interview. This has been so much fun for those listening and watching. Bruce, where can somebody find you now? I know you're on Twitter at Bruce Locke Actor and on Instagram.
I'm not very active. I do have an Instagram account. You can find me there.
Okay.
I'm actually thinking about shying away from social media more because it just seems
I hear you.
Not what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I figure, you know what, at this age, I'm working, you know.
Yeah. That's interesting because somebody in the spotlight probably needs to keep something out there and you're going, yeah.
That's what they tell me, but it's like, I don't know if you do. Yeah. There's so few guys really my age that are Asian that have a resume. Or, you know, if they want to see me, they'll see me.
I love it. I love your whole mentality. This has been an absolute pleasure, and we have taken more time than we promised you. Bruce, there will be a part 2. Preston will see to that, and we're going to put together that coffee meeting for the 3 of us here.
We'll trade info after this.
You got it. Absolutely. So, folks, thanks for joining us on Gridiron Icon with the iconic Bruce Locke. You can see him kicking people's butts in RoboCop 3, Mortal Kombat, The Man on the Castle, so many places. And, of course, to my better half and my partner in crime, the great Preston Denard. Follow us, watch us on YouTube, and we will see you next week.